Hi guys, it's Lindsay. Welcome back to the Wandering Reader. Today I'm going to be doing the Abookalypse Tag. I was tagged to do this by Liv, and she's over at Read by Liv, and this was an original tag of hers, so I will link that video down below for you. I think there are 10 questions. Nope, there are 9 questions. So just before we start, it is a really hot day. I mean, probably not as hot as it's going to be in June or July, but it feels stinking hot, and I cannot be in this room without having a window open. So if you hear traffic noises or the blinds fluttering, then that's why. But there we go. So we're just going to jump into the first question. Question 1 is evacuate. Everyone is out safely, but you can only go back and grab one book. Which book is it and why? So I had a little think about this, and I was thinking, well, it probably would have to be the book that I'm currently reading, just because I want to know how it ends, right? So I'm currently reading, amongst a few other things, Burn for Burn, and this is by Jenny Han and Siobhan Vivian, and this is a YA contemporary story about some girls in high school who decide to get revenge on some people who have wronged them in their lives. Quite good so far. I'm actually quite close to the end. I've only got about 50 pages left, but yeah, that would have to be it, that you have to go back and get the one book that you haven't finished reading yet, just to see how it ends. Question 2 is, it's the Abookalypse. Choose a book that would help you with survival skills. And for this one I'm going to go with Wild, and this is by Cheryl Strayed. This is one of my favourite books. But I think it would be great for this particular question because Cheryl Strayed writes about walking the Pacific Crest Trail from California all the way up to Washington State, and it's about sort of her trying to survive, and she's trying to also kind of find herself on this walk. So she talks a lot about survival skills in this video, even though it's not, she's got a 10 and stuff like that, but you know, there are some quite basic survival skill stuff in here. But I also feel like this would be a good motivational read if you're, if you haven't got a lot of stuff to survive with. It's all going to be a little bit depressing, and I just feel that this would be really uplifting as well. Question number 3 is grab anything you will need. Grab a fan or book related item you would want to save. And for this one I have chosen Hermione's wand. I love this wand. I wanted it for ages because I love Hermione as a character, and the wand itself is really beautiful. It's just really, it's not plain, but at the same time it's just really simple but beautifully crafted. And yeah, I wanted it for ages, and then my husband bought it for me for Christmas last year, or the year before I think, and I just love it, and I just think it would be a really nice keepsake to take with you. Question number 4 is zombies are coming. Which books on your TBR are you dying to read? So I've chosen 3. The first one is The Tattooist of Auschwitz, and this is by Heather Morris. I bought this a couple of months ago and I've been dying to read it, but I just haven't had an appropriate TBR to put it on. But I've heard really good things about the story, and I just think it's going to be really emotional and great. Next one is Allegedly, and this is by Tiffany D. Jackson. I bought this at the same time as I bought The Tattooist of Auschwitz, and again, just really dying to read it. It's all about a woman who allegedly kills a baby, but it's kind of about, well, did she do it or didn't she? Yeah, and I think it's got something to do with kind of race and colour and prejudice and that sort of thing as well. So yeah, dying to read that as well. And then the other one I picked is Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I read Eleanor and Park this month and absolutely loved it, so I picked up Fangirl while I was in Oxford, and I just can't wait to read something else by her. I just really like her writing style. Question number 5 is We Need Fire. Which 3 books would you be willing to burn? This is a really interesting question, in the sense that I've been thinking about doing a spring clean of my bookshelves, and I'm probably going to film that next week and put it up on my channel. So it's a good job I'm looking at this now. Sorry, the blinds are going crazy. Because these books might not have been on my shelf before. But the first one that I've picked is Divergent, and this is by Veronica Roth. I have also got the second book on my shelf as well. My husband's read the first 2 books in what I think is a trilogy, or I think it might have 4 books in it. He gave up after the second book. He wasn't that interested in it, and this is sort of a craze that sort of died now, and I'm sort of thinking, well, maybe if I'm really anxious to read it, I'll just go and get it out from the library. Then I've got here The Raven Boys, and this is by Maggie Stiefvater. Again, didn't really like this that much. I am thinking about getting the second one out from the library, but I certainly won't be keeping this, and definitely not buying any more in the series. And then the third one is The Girl in the Spider's Web, and this is by David Lagerkrantz, I don't know how you pronounce that. This is a continuation of the Millennium trilogy, but written by somebody else, because of course Stieg Larsson died. And I got halfway through it, I'm not even halfway through it, I think about 100 pages in, and I just really didn't like the writing style. I could tell it wasn't Stieg Larsson, and it really bothered me. It wasn't as good as the original trilogy. I kind of hate the fact as well that the film rights to this have been bought, and they're making a film of this, and yet Hollywood only made the first film in the original trilogy. They didn't bother making the other 2, and that really annoys me. You of course got the Swedish versions of them, which I've seen, and they're really good. But yeah, it just really annoys me that they picked this one up. And of course there's a second one now written by him, and I'm just really not interested in reading it at all. Number 6 is All the Stories Were True. Which fictional world would you never be able to survive in? This is a little bit of a weird answer, but I'm going to go for the world in The Martian by Andy Weir. Now, it's not a fictional world because of course Mars exists, but we haven't got the technology at the moment to go and live on Mars, so it's kind of, in my mind, it's fictional for that reason. But I would never be able to survive in space. The thought of doing the training and then going up there and being stuck up there, it just fills me with horror, absolute horror, just because it's that kind of thing about not being able to come back. Like, those of you that are fans of the Big Bang Theory absolutely love that programme. When Howard goes up to space, he's obviously stuck up there for, I think it's like 6 to 8 weeks, something like that. And he gets to the point where he goes a little bit crazy because he just wants to come home and he wants things to be normal again. He wants to see his wife and his friends, and he just wants to do normal sort of earthly things. And I think that is exactly how I would be. I would go absolutely crazy. And of course, Mark from this book gets stuck on Mars. There's nobody else there, they've left him behind, he's got nowhere to get back, and he's just so great at just surviving and getting on with it, and yeah, I can't imagine what I would be like. I would go mental, absolutely mental, so yeah. Number 7 is Lone Survivor. Which character would you choose to be your companion or protector? And for this one, I didn't really want to repeat an answer, but I am going to for purposes of this question, and I would want Mark Watney for a couple of different reasons. Like I said in my answer to the previous question, he's just so level-headed, he just gets on with things. I think he would be a really calming presence, that you would feel like things were going well, that he could sort problems out and things like that. And the second reason, I think because he's just so hilarious. The way that this is written, I just laughed out loud at so many different moments because of his sense of humour, because of the sorts of things that he would say. So I think he would help to take your mind off of what was going on, because he would just be making you laugh the whole time. Question number 8 is Procreate. All the literature is gone. Which book would you introduce as the first new classic? And I had a real good think about this because I didn't want to pick something where bad things were happening. I wanted to pick something where there was kind of like a positive message, or something a bit more positive going on. So anyway, I have picked Out of the Easy by Ruta Sepetys, and this is a story about a girl whose mum is a prostitute, and everyone in the town that she lives in expects her to follow in her mother's footsteps. But she dreams of going to college and making something of herself. She works in a bookshop, and she's trying to save up to go to college, and it's a story about sort of her and how she gets on with this kind of idea, and it's this kind of idea of triumph over adversity and kind of making your way in life and that sort of thing. And I just think it would be really inspirational to read, especially in that sort of situation. And finally, question number 9 is start a new community, tag a BookTube buddy. And I'm going to tag 3 people. I'm going to tag Dave from Wild Reads, I'm going to tag Karen from Rather Be Reading, and I'm going to tag Kath from Kath Elizabeth Reads. I'll leave a link to all 3 of their channels down below. Tagged you it, and if I haven't tagged you and want to do this video, do it anyway. There you go guys, they were all of the questions. I'd love to have a chat with you in the comments below about any of my answers. What would you have answered to some of the questions? Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.